Hey everyone, it's Eric with FirearmTutorials.com, and this is what we call a good old-fashioned American mess. So, making progress. Uploaded the other video yesterday. That was actually about a week ago. So, today's Saturday, coming out here and trying to get some stuff done. So, we'll talk about the bench. That's been almost completed. Some of the electrical. So I talked about doing the lights, basically one here and one there. So I'm effectively tapping into this guy down here, just the unused legs on that socket, and then wire going up the wall. I put in a box here for a couple switches, and then that's one wire that will feed one of the lights, and then I'll do another one to feed the secondary light. I could daisy chain them off each other, but I thought if I'm going through this, it's not too hard to get just another set of wires from the top to there. So I was like, you know what, I'll just put a double switch in so I can independently turn them on or off. It's really not that much work to do that. So no, not much extra work. So we've got that done. You see I've got some marks on the wall here for if and when I want to just screw the bench to the wall. Haven't decided if I want to do that or not. Roof, so a couple people suggested the rigid insulation. I did some research on it and it looks good, so I think that's the route I'm going to go. So that should help with that. I'll do it on that side as well. This stuff's almost done. I'll talk about that shortly. Got the electrical panel back on. Yeah, so I decided against the whole, like, what do I need a separate breaker for, run a wire all the way, if I could just tap off of that one. So that takes care of that. So the bench came out pretty good. Maybe a little better than I thought. I decided to actually paint it and make it look a little bit nicer than the last one. So you'll see down here is actually, I covered this in one of the other ones, these vinyl adhesive based tiles that I was considering doing for the floor in here. I had a large size sample of them. It wasn't enough to ever do this whole floor, but that's what I ended up getting, and then several people talked me out of it, so I decided not to use that for the floor. So I decided while I had them, I'll actually just put them on the bottom here to kind of take care of this bottom shelf, make it a little nicer. So the adhesive that's on the back doesn't really work that well. I mean, it works, but over time it's gonna, you know, come up and stuff. So I actually used that 3M spray adhesive in addition and kind of stuck that down more towards the center so that they don't come up. Looks like this one could use a little more right here. So there's that. The plane flying over. So this bench design, I was initially going to do like a torsion beam one that like was built onto the wall, but I decided against it and went with this one. So this was a combination of kind of somebody that I saw making one on YouTube, and then kind of just some on-the-fly decisions I made. So with the shelf here, my last bench I had was just 6 feet long, I think 2 feet deep, you know, kind of standard, and then I just kind of built a base along the bottom, so I really had no middle shelf. The bottom I just had like a big toolbox on some random stuff. So I wanted a shelf that was usable, but I wanted it with enough clearance that I could potentially put like a small compressor or, you know, some larger things, but then also still have enough room to fit some larger stuff underneath. So I arbitrarily just came up with this height on the fly, and I mean, it looks good and it works good. The only problem is when I went to push it up against here just to check, it comes it comes up like about here. So this bottom outlet basically is not usable with the shelf that height. So, you know, not the end of the world, because honestly I'm going to put a just a long power strip. So I'll just be using one outlet, and I'm probably not going to use anything more than 10 amps or 15 amps, whatever. I think these are 10 amps for that. And then I'll still have one on the other side too as well, so not really worried about that. And initially my solution was, okay, I'll just take like an inch or an inch and a half off the bottom legs, and that'll effectively lower it, and that'll work. But I made this, it's about 39 and a half. When I get this other piece of wood on there, the top will be almost right at 40, so I wanted that extra height being as tall as I am, so I decided to just keep it the way it is. So the Ttrack, I think I talked about this. So the Ttrack will go on, well, let's just show you. So there's 4 pieces of this. These are 4 foot in length. So it'll go something like this. And then a piece of that nicer wood in there, that sanded ply, will go in between here, and then another rail, and then the nicer wood. So I'll have to actually cut that at least twice to kind of get this going, to get the nice wood in there. But like I said, it'll be the entire length of the bench. I ordered some inline fabrication mounts, and I don't know exactly how big they are, so once I get them, I can put them here and figure out exactly where I want to put these Ttracks, and then I'll cut the wood and basically finish the bench. So right now it's still a usable bench. I don't know how long it'll take for those mounts to get here, so I will probably push this in the next day or so and start using it until that stuff happens. Just won't be able to mount any presses on there. So there's that. That's coming along very nicely. See, we've covered the insulation. So this stuff is done. I have to trim the foam here, but I ended up doing the same thing down there because I talked about coming up underneath the bottom, but it ended up being too labor intensive. I just decided to do it that way. It'll actually be harder to get the wires into the house. I thought this was going to be the hard part, digging the trench and all that stuff, but getting the wires into the house, I went up in the attic, but it's like right in the corner of the house, so it's going to be difficult like everything else, but once I get it done, we'll be in good shape. Other than that, I think that's it for now, guys. So like I said, any questions, comments, suggestions, keep them coming. A lot of your questions or comments have been useful as far as helping me get this project going here. So that's it. The Microtech Halo 5, the video I did about sending it back, or showing that it was worn and all that kind of stuff. As soon as I get the bench back in here, I'm going to do a video kind of talking about that, and I'm actually going to take the knife apart. But again, we'll get to that. So that's it. Thanks for watching.